does not exist, because in my opinion, to look at the universe and to look at the harmony and the connections that it has and the fine tunings that the universe has, there has to be a God in this universe. Otherwise, star clusters does not form the way they are. Galaxies does not form the way they are. This planet with this ecosystem does not form, based on accidents and coincidence. And that's what I wanted to ask you. If all of these, are you claiming that all of this happened by accident? Are you saying that galaxies themselves developed a certain kind of mind to form themselves in the order that they are? Star systems form themselves in that manner that we have now. They have an actual mind. Where did they develop that mind? What does the
Can I
scientists
stop you?
say? Yeah, go ahead.
What about star clusters is predicted by theism?
Well, so far, what I'm saying, that everything in this universe has a certain order. Every
No,
single
hold on. So, I mean, you said star clusters, right? As if we would expect to see star clusters if theism is true. But I don't see how that follows.
I don't understand your question. What do you mean?
You mentioned, so in your evidence for theism, you mentioned star clusters. I
Yes.
cannot fathom how theism predicts star clusters. Can you explain?
Yes, I can explain. When I mention star clusters, obviously, I mention a certain group of stars in a certain order that they form together to basically have a certain kind of harmony along with each other. So how do you explain something like when you look at something like a galaxy, how do you explain that something like galaxy came to its form that it actually, why does
I'm
it's
not
not?
getting an answer to my question. I'm just getting a question in return. I mean, a certain number of stars are going to have a certain order. There's no
Yes.
predictive order of star clusters. So we don't look out in the cosmos and see messages in the sky, or
Well,
or
you
or
see,
star clusters. Hold on,
you
or star clusters that are predicted by theism. As a matter of
yeah.
fact, there's nothing about star clusters that is predicted by theism. There's two basic hypotheses here, right? Either there's no God, atheism, or there is a God, some sort of theism. And if you assume theism, a priori, there's no reason to assume that there's certain clusters of certain numbers of certain harmonies of stars. So that's not evidence for your hypothesis. Can I offer an argument for my hypothesis?
Go ahead.
So one of them, since we're talking, I wasn't going to talk about this argument because it's a little trollish, but I kind of like it. It's interesting and it makes things interesting. This is a very weak argument, but I kind of like it, right? Have you heard of Justin Schieber?
uh, I'm sorry, what? Justin
Have you
Schieber?
heard of Justin Schieber?
Yes. To,
You have.
to Oh, you mean,
Really?
I thought you changed the name of Bieber, and like
No.
I
Schieber.
you're
Justin Schieber. I'm not making a joke. Have you heard of Justin Schieber?
no, I did not heard of Justin Schieber.
Yeah, Justin Schieber has an argument from fine tuning for atheism. And I wasn't going to bring this up, but you brought up fine tuning. So I think it's pertinent, right? Given the the basic premises and things that you predict under atheism and theism, fine tuning is actually more evidential for atheism, right? And here's why. Uh, a priori, if theism were true, you'd expect there to be a God, and you'd expect for her to make some parameters. You would expect her to want some kind of moral being to exist. Okay, what you wouldn't expect is for her to have to make some kind of specific life-giving parameters for a universe for those beings to exist. There's no reason to assume that. But if naturalism were true, if we do see biological beings, you would expect for them to live in a universe that is life permitting, that has certain life permitting parameters. So given based the just what a priori you'd expect under theism, and a priori you'd expect to see under atheism. Um,
Dude, I'm
Atheism
sorry.
actually,
I'm sorry, can you speak in a, like I know about philosophy, and I know how some philosophers use a very weird language in order to get their points across. Well, obviously, English is not my first language, and I
Is there a
understand you don't have to necessarily throw out
That's
huge,
fine.
big
Is there
words.
That's fine.
However,
I'm trying to help you. Is there a big word that you need help with?
well, yeah,
Yeah, a priori. Oh, sorry. Tasteless. Don't interject, please.
mhm. Yeah, for example,
Oh,
I did not understand what he said. And you tend to speak in a tone of words that is like almost reading an ancient book. Like it's almost like reading form
yeah.
of
You just let me know if there's a big word that you need help with, and
super
I'll be happy
scientific
to explain it
articles.
for you.
Yeah, so far, I would much appreciate it if you explain what you just said in a much simpler words to people. You don't necessarily have to go to that extent. You can sum it up in like a couple of sentences, what you
Yeah,
just said.
I'm ready as soon as you're done. I get that you need to know what a priori is,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
waiting for
yeah,
you to let me tell you.
yeah, yeah. For example, you told me that fine tuning is in more favor of atheism. Explain it very simply. Why do you think?
Yeah, I was explaining it.
Yeah, but in such a weird, dude, I know false and pretentious whenever I see one. I have spoken to so many people before that they try to tend the words, the logical fallacies and ad hominem and stuff. Dude, speak like a normal human
I
being.
didn't
And
say it
normal,
hominem. I'm not using fancy jargon. I thought you knew what a
no, dude,
priori means. Do
that's
you know?
not the
Look,
only thing that you spoke.
Aref. Look, you've been telling me for about a minute that you want me to explain it more plainly, and
Yeah,
I'm trying
that's
to be
it. Go,
patient,
yeah, go,
but
go
you
ahead.
have to stop talking in order for me to tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So what I mean by a priori is I mean without assuming anything else, just on its base facts, just before assuming anything else, right? The things that you would think are true about a subject, right? Before contemplation, right? So theism, right, would assume that there's some God, right? And she would want there to be moral beings to interact with, right? These are things that you I think are true under theism, right?
Yes.
Right. Uh, and this powerful being could make these moral beings exist amaterially or materially. They can exist within a universe that is life permitting or not life permitting. So the fact that our universe it has life permitting parameters is not very good evidence for theism. On the contrary, on the contrary, atheism, if naturalism is true, then atheism would be true. And under naturalism, naturalism is the idea that all there is nature. There's no supernature, right? Under naturalism, you'd expect if there were beings such as ourselves, that they would have to live in a universe that has life permitting parameters. So, looking at the universe and assuming hypothesis A, theism, and hypothesis B, naturalism, naturalism fits with what we see better. So making the fine tuning argument really an argument for atheism.
Oh, well, so far you mentioned something like if the supernatural being existed, he would have created the world in a much better way. You're basically, I think you're
False.
so far going to the question of the evil, that if God did exist, why there is something like evil, why there is something like pain, why there
False.
is something like imperfection. Is that so far that you're trying
Nope.
to?
Nope. Not at all. You don't understand the argument.
Well, yeah, if you could have explained it, as I said, explain it, you try to somehow make a point in a several very
I
weird,
don't know how to explain it any clearer, Aref.
dude,
If you're not getting it, maybe we should move on to another argument.
like, yes, I have to say that, the way that you're trying to talk, like it is not something very familiar to average speaker. And I told you that, I've seen philosophers
I'm
before that,
sorry, Arif. That's just not going to cut it, right? When I said words like a priori, I broke them down this time.
no,
Even
no,
when I
dude,
said
dude,
even when I said naturalism, I broke that down for you. It doesn't get
yeah.
much more simpler than this.
Yeah, okay. Make your point much simpler. I mean, what are you, can you just say it in a sentence? What is your argument?
Look, without explaining why, I'll tell you, right? theism predicts certain things, right? Theism
Yes.
predicts that there'll be moral agents and a God,
Moral agents.
right? It
Okay.
doesn't even necessarily assume that there'll be a universe.
Yes.
All it predicts, all you'd assume is true under theism is that there's some moral agents and they interact with God, right?
Yeah.
So
Moral agents.
that doesn't require a life permitting universe with certain
But
parameters that are within the life permitting range. Right? That's
did
what
you just
and
heard what
I
you
don't know
just
how to
said?
help you if you don't know
Yeah.
what that means because
Dude.
you brought up fine tuning, and if you know
Oh
what
yeah.
fine tuning is, that's what
You,
that is.
dude. I heard what you're saying. Life parameters. It's just
Life permitting parameters. Okay,
life
let's explore
permit.
that.
Yeah. Let's explore life permitting parameters. I think you can say that in a simpler way for average person to understand it much better.
Are you
Dude,
honestly telling me you don't know what I mean by that?
no, I do not. Honestly, I mean, and you don't necessarily have to make it in a way I never read in the
How about
Bible.
this, Aref? You tell me what you think fine tuning means.
Fine tuning means that I'm going to explain it simple to you, that the rules of this universe are set in such a perfect way that if you mess with gravity or any other law in this universe, everything would break apart. That's
So
what I mean. It's
those
very
rules
simple.
and
Yes.
laws, hold on, let me just stop you right there. Those
Okay.
rules and laws are parameters.
Well, okay, yes.
So
Obviously,
so you think that they so hold on real quick. So you think that they're set within a life permitting range, as in they allow for life to exist.
yes. Well, like
Yes, that's what I mean by life permitting parameters.
obviously, yes. When you mention something like life permitting parameter, whatever you're trying to say, it would be much more simple if you say that, yeah, the laws of the universe are set in a way for life to
That
grow
seems
out.
much more complicated to me. Look, we're just going to have a
Oh,
difference of
seriously,
opinion here.
dude.
Now you know what I mean by life permitting parameters. Can we move on?
Yes. Yeah, we can move on. I would appreciate, just I explain to you how to explain it to other people and to me. You don't necessarily have to use big words like, logical fallacies in a
I
certain
didn't say I you're the only one who brought
well,
up logical fallacies.
yes, well, what you are, the way you are speaking is such a weird, vague way that I've seen before some people use in order to confuse their audience to somehow say,
I
well,
am speaking very plainly. I
oh, no, no,
resent
I perfectly disagree with that. You are talking in a very plain way. As a matter of fact,
Hey,
yeah,
please don't.
we don't. First of all, this was a one-on-one debate. This was not you don't necessarily have to like jump on me. Maybe to you atheist people, this kind of language is a very simple kind of language. You've been throwing this kind of method over at each other in order to somehow whenever a theist comes to confuse him with a certain kind of language to make him think that, oh well, you're not smart enough, you're not intelligent enough, so that person when he became confused slowly start to walk away to be like, well, maybe yeah, I need to work on better methods. Dude, I
Can
say
I stop you just for a technical
yes
thing?
for
Hey,
anything.
Declan,
Yeah,
you're in here.
you can
Yeah, what's up?
stop me
Do me a
anytime.
favor. So,
Yeah.
Declan, I know you don't show favoritism towards me, and I really appreciate that. Do me a favor and moderate.
Yeah, who needs moderate?
Nobody yet, I don't think. But if just do what you think is fair, please.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, as I said, I would appreciate it if you don't throw weird, sentences at me in order to like confuse things that I'm not familiar. That basically, phrases that I'm not familiar in my mind. You don't, dude. You are not going to prove to me that you're smarter than me just because you heard about a bunch of different phrases and you talk a certain way. In the end, wisdom, when Socrates went to the streets and talked to people, he did not use a certain kind of words to
Oh my
actually
god.
confuse those people. He used a certain kind of word that everybody can understand
Aref,
what he's saying.
Aref, I get the point, right? And
Congratulations.
I figured that somebody who knows about fine tuning, and you brought up fine tuning,
Yeah.
would know what I meant by life permitting parameters.
No, I
If you
mean,
didn't
so far,
know,
based
I'm
on,
glad
you know,
I could explain it for you,
I saw
and I'd
a
like
lot of
to move on
debates.
with the argument if you would oblige.
Yeah, you know, if actually you're going to use that kind of language, I think we should just stop the debate.
What?
Obviously, we're not going to understand what you're going to say.
Aref,
You're,
I just explained it. You look, Aref, this is some bullshit. Okay, you
oh,
came in.
oh,
You
I'm bullshit.
hold on. No, Aref, hold on. You
Yeah.
accuse me of running. Hold on. You accuse me of running away from a debate, even though I showed up 2 weeks to a debate that you didn't show up to. Now you come in here and start wanting to leave because you don't like the fact that I used a big phrase like life permitting parameters, which should be familiar to anybody who knows about fine tuning, a subject that you brought up. All right.
No,
And then
dude,
when I
a
take
lot
the
of
time
us.
to
It's not.
explain
Yeah,
it to
yeah.
you in a way that
Don't
you can
try to.
understand,
Hey, don't
then
try
you
to say
fucking
not just
rail
so.
about it for 5 more fucking minutes, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you want to bitch out of the debate.
yeah.
Go
No,
fuck
no.
yourself.
Oh, very amazing. You just showed exactly what kind of person you are. Don't worry, dude. There has been a lot of people saying a lot of words to me. I don't care.
I don't think anyone here is interested in you grandstanding, Aref.
Uh, I'm,
Look, Arif, if you want to continue the debate, I would be happy to. But if you want to run, just get the fuck out.
yeah, dude. First of all, I told you we should do this one on
No,
one.
no,
Dude,
I'm going to insist.
yeah, dude.
I'm
I
going
told
to
you.
insist.
Yeah, we should do
Look,
this
I have
one-on-one.
priority speaker, Arif.
Can I
I'm
finish?
going to insist that if you stay here, you're going to continue the debate and stop grandstanding. If you can't do that, get the fuck out.
I'm not going to get the fuck out until somebody ban me. So that means that you guys.
Now, did anybody not understand the point I was making about?
Seth, what the fuck happened to? But
Did someone mute him?
I did not. I don't know if anybody did.
Why did you mute him?
Well, you know, I would. This was a one-on-one debate. This was not 20 to 1 debate. No, I did not cancel any debate anywhere.
So you want to no. If you want to continue, great.
No,
I
no,
apologized. Everyone be
said,
quiet.
yes, I said if Seth want to use a certain kind of weird language in front of me with big words to baffle my mind with those words rather than an actual meaning,
Well, hold on. That can't possibly be his intention, right? Because he offered to explain it to you, presumably in
Look,
layman's terms.
Brandon, I appreciate the help, but Declan, if you're moderating, can you please ask him to like get on with the argument? He's been grandstanding about not understanding the argument that I explained to him.
Well, look. Seth, hold on, Seth. That I look at it is he's not addressing the argument. Doesn't mean he needs to be moderated by me.
I'm just asking somebody to ask him to do it.
I understand.
Should be talking other than me and him or you.
I understand. Hold on a second, Aref. Okay, just because someone's not addressing an argument correctly, doesn't mean that they need to be modded or muted, let alone banned.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not saying he needs to be banned.
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about you.
Yes. So
Seth, what happened to your microphone? Why is it so good?
I came up with a solution. First of all, everybody, you know, if you don't mind, you know, accept the moderators, you know, if you would be quiet and only interject when you see absolutely necessary. I came up with a solution. So whenever Seth talks about something that I don't understand, I ask him a simple question. Okay, when you say that, for example, that thing happened, what do you mean by that? I'm going to ask questions about what he actually means. And he has to, obviously, if he wants to, you know, if it actually be about an argument, he has, you know, to actually explain it to me, to be like, okay, you didn't understand, let me put it simple. Okay, you still didn't understand, let me put it more simple. So in the end, we end up trying to actually making sense to each other. He says something that when I don't understand, I'm going to respectfully ask him that I did not understood what you actually said at this point. Well, explain it to me in a much simpler way. And if he be a real debater, if he really wants his argument across rather than big words, he would be like, of course, it's not about that I want to win in a debate. I just want you to understand what I mean. So in a much more simpler way, my argument means this. So I will get the point from his argument and then answer him in a way that obviously he can understand. If he could not understand, I will make it more simple to him of what I mean based on what he understands. So that's this is a solution.
He did that, and he offered to continue doing that.
Yes. Do you like to continue with this solution set?
I would like to.
Oh God, Seth, stop. Yeah.
That was so weird because it's better than it's ever been, and now it's worse than it's ever been.
Had about 5 minutes where Seth was comprehensible. When did Declan get mods?
Fucking Mike Poo-Poo.
Yeah, he did it yesterday because it humiliated Dio to give him mods, so.
Oh.
It was a good enough reason. Oh, wait, sorry, it humiliated, wait.
It was Shamos.
Was it Dionysus?
Shamos. Oh, I remember, because he left the server.
Oh, no. It humiliated Dio by Shamos not having mods. That's what it is. So like Dionysus was like, in what way? Better? Yeah, it's a little bit better. Dionysus was like, in what way is Declan better than Shamos? And I was like, well, he's better than Shamos because now he has mods. And then
oh no.
No, it's trash. It's trash stuff.
It sounds like it's a mic problem. Well, of course it's a mic problem, but
it's probably supernatural.
Better or worse?
Better.
At some point, my cat ran over my USB cable, so that might have been it. I don't know.
Aref, are you still here?
Yes. Okay. Can you, when I asked about the question of fine tuning, that the laws of universe being in a perfect manner, you said that this actually favors atheism. I want you to, for example, explain to me. If I didn't understand, I will ask you a question that whether you mean this or you mean that.
There's a lot you apparently don't understand, because I didn't say it very favors atheism. I said it slightly varies atheism.
Yes, slightly varies atheism. So what do you think that
Did I say varies favors? Slightly favors atheism.
But in my opinion, I don't see how a galaxy being, for example, let's look at this planet, a very unique planet with a very unique atmosphere. So far, no scientists have found any planet with the same ecosystem, with the same creatures, with the same natural system to perfect.
So what? You're just talking gibberish.
Stop.
You're just talking gibberish.
Shut up, Yuri.
Yuri, if we are actually in a 1 versus 1 debate, for example, a very unique so far planet we have. How do you think that this somehow favors atheism rather than theism?
Right. So the fact that there's life on this planet and it's unique to this planet isn't fine-tuning. That's not the fine-tuning argument. The fine-tuning argument is about we existing in a universe that has very, very slight, very particular, very exact life-permitting parameters. And I know you don't like those words, but I did just explain them, so I hope you'll forgive me. Right?
Yes. Thank you.
So that's what we're talking about. If we're talking about fine tuning, let's get back to that. And under hypothesis A, do you know what a hypothesis is? Do I need to explain that?
But as I said to
Aref,
you,
do you know what a hypothesis is? I'm not done with my point. Do
yes,
you
yes,
know what a hypothesis is?
Yes, I do. You don't necessarily have to repeat a question in anger. Do you know the hypothesis?
Anger. I'm
Yes,
just trying to get you to answer my question.
yes, I do know what a hypothesis is, but since
Great.
you
So
said,
assume we have two hypotheses, right? One is naturalism and one is theism. Are you with me so far?
yes,
Right. Okay. So under theism, you'd expect a priori, that means not assuming anything else, just the base facts about theism, right? You'd expect, do you know what theism is?
yes,
You'd expect there to be a God, and you'd expect for her to make moral agents to interact with her, right? These are things that the very minimal things you.
Yes, when you say moral agents to interact with them, what do you mean, moral agents to interact?
Who are Jesus' apostles? Who are Christians? Are those not moral agents that interact with?
I think he's asking what the word means.
Oh, so
I do
I'm
understand.
referring to people.
Yes. When you say moral agents to interact with God, like somehow angels came into my head. So, moral angels.
As a matter of fact, I think under Christian theology, angels are not moral agents, but I could be wrong. It doesn't matter. People are, right?
Yes, people are. Well, I don't say moral because not everybody is moral.
I don't mean good. I mean moral agents. I mean they can act morally or choose to not act morally.
Yes, but when you say
right,
moral,
so every person is a moral agent.
Yes, but every person.
So now we can move on, right?
Yeah, a moral person, and also he can be an immoral person. So we can move on.
No. Again, what I mean by moral person is they can choose to act morally or choose to not act morally. Those are moral agents. So there are no immoral agents. There's just, at least when we're talking about people, those are moral agents. Those exist.
Okay, yes.
Right. And you'd expect to see that under theism, that there'd be moral agents, and you'd expect for them to be in some kind of interaction with God.
Yes.
Right. At the very least, the ability to abide her rules and defy her rules.
Yes.
Right. So under hypothesis 2, you have naturalism, which implies atheism, right? And under that hypothesis, you don't expect those things. You don't expect anything in particular, right? So no matter what you see, for the most part, is not going to be really evidence for or against it, right? At least a priori. The problem here is that under theism, you don't expect to see life permitting parameters. There's nothing in theism a priori that expects a fine-tuned universe. God could have created moral agents that are immaterial or material. They could hold on. Okay, so go ahead. You have a question.
I want to get a better explanation about your second hypothesis. You say naturalism, as in naturalism. You're talking about evolution.
No.
You're talking about. I'm sorry. Can you explain naturalism? Better?
I mean the claim that there's nothing supernatural, right? There's the natural world, and that's what exists.
Yes, that's what you mean by naturalism. Okay. That there is no supernatural. Okay.
Right.
Okay, go on.
So you wouldn't expect to see anything in particular under that worldview. Now here's where the crux comes in. Here's the problem, right? Theism doesn't imply a finely tuned universe. All theism implies is moral agents interact, at least a priori, interacting with with God, right? Abiding her or disobeying her, right? And you can have that under materialism, or if these beings are immaterial, whether or not they're material and the universe is finely tuned for them, or whether or not they're material and the universe is not finely tuned for them. So fine tuning really doesn't get you what you think it does. As a matter of fact, it kind of is more likely under naturalism, because under naturalism, if we see biological agents, which we are, and plants are, and dogs are, and bacteria are, you'd only expect for them to live in a universe that has life permitting parameters, which is what we see. which means the fact that there are life permitting parameters and creatures living in a universe with life permitting parameters is evidence for naturalism, not for theism.
In my opinion, I would say that it is more of an evidence for an theist worldview rather than an atheist worldview. And I will explain it to you now. For example, I said the unique structure of our planet. Your argument would have been perfectly rational and logical. If you could give me 100,000 more examples among planets that are so far in our galaxy that have either the same identical, situation that we have with an ecosystem and so many different groups of species, and an atmosphere that protects the planet Earth from so many meteors.
Why are you changing the topic?
Jarl, if if can you like with the debate is one. I don't want to like get into I want to answer Seth if I want to like because my attention is going to be like divided. So far what I say, like for example, if you could give me 10,000 more planets with either the same identical life, an ecosystem, and the way that our planet is, or at least with a completely different ecosystem, but then again that is a certain group of creatures that live, for example, on Venus, on Mars, on every other planet, that live on a certain order together, I would say that yes.
Why would I need that to support the argument that I just made when the argument that I just made was already supported?
And your argument was supported, but it's not as supported because I have a winning hand at this point based on atheism. What do I mean? It means like, for example, there is 1 trillion planet in Milky Way.
I'm sorry, Aref, you're bringing another argument. You haven't addressed mine. You're allowed to do that. I just want to point that.
Yes, I'm explaining. I'm doing a follow-up to what you said. You said that naturalism, not being a supernatural being in a world, it is somehow in your favor. I'm saying that no, it is not in your favor.
Repeat that. What?
You told me that basically naturalism. The fine tuning is more in favor of naturalism rather than atheism. I told you that's absolutely
no,
wrong.
Not rather than atheism, rather than theism.
Yes, rather than theism. Basically, you're saying it is more rational to say that fine tuning is in the favor of
and I explained why, and you asking me for
yes,
planets that support other life isn't in support.
Yes, yeah. What I'm trying to tell you is that based on logic and reason, as I told you, yes, obviously, if there were many, many more planets that could evolve life, evolve a certain kind of ecosystem, identical or somehow different, but then again, whatever life, maybe rock golems on some
Aref, what's fine tuning?
Fine tuning, it means that the laws of the universe are created the laws of this universe, and then our galaxy, and then our solar system, and then our planet specifically in such a way to permit life to exist and somehow moves it along. That's my opinion.
Aref, I'm sorry. If you were to look up the fine tuning argument, you're just not going to find that. The fine tuning argument is about the life permitting parameters of the universe. That's what it's about.
Well, I don't want to go to universe, but if so far fine tuning says that, then I have to admit that at this point I made a mistake of bringing the concept of fine tuning. The point that I want to bring across the conversation is that our planet is incredibly unique. It is unique in our galaxy, and I don't have a problem with intelligent life living otherwhere.
Does theism assume that there will be only life on one planet?
No.
Okay, then why is this evidence for theism?
It is evidence. I will tell you why it is evidence for theism, because the way that, for example, in our galaxy, in our solar system, our planet, the way our planet is somehow in such a structured order, a very good distance from the sun, having liquid water, the evolution of plants, the evolution of species, all of them somehow giving hands to one another, creating an ecosystem for Neanderthal to for our ancestors, gorillas, and then coming forward, becoming Neanderthals, and then after that, God appointed man, Adam, on this planet to appointed God of man of God, Adam, on this planet. It somehow says that life always wins against all the odds, and our planet is extremely unique, and the uniqueness of our planet, in my opinion, is the strongest evidence toward the concept of for the concept of theism. Because if we, for example, I would say that, yeah, I won't believe much in a God. When I would say that, when you would point me 10,000 other planets in our galaxy that have intelligent
Look,
life on them.
Aref, have you heard of the anthropic principle?
No.
Great. So, assume that there's a world, okay?
Yeah.
Not this world. Let's say I'm writing a book, right? Just a world that doesn't necessarily exist, right? And in this world, I'm going to have sentient beings in it, right? And they're gonna exist naturally. They're gonna evolve naturally. They're gonna be on a planet in a vast universe, and it's gonna be very hard for them to detect other life.
Yes.
Okay. Is that inconsistent with what we see in our universe?
I don't see how your argument of saying that I wanted to write a book, because then once again, there is a creator.
Aref, is that answer my question? Is that inconsistent with our universe?
No, that's not inconsistent with
Right.
our universe. But then again, remember, there
And
was
so,
a God.
so what we're seeing here, right, is under naturalism, you would expect creatures who are existing on some world in a vast universe to maybe not be able to tell that there are other planets with other life on them, which is what you explained. And under theism, you wouldn't necessarily seen that, right? So
Yes.
again, what we're seeing seems to be more evidence for naturalism.
No, as I said, because obviously the example that, let me, give you an example, just as you gave me an example. I will put it like, if your book opened up in the middle of the night without any force, without no wind, let's just say not even a demon or a spirit, the book opened up, wrote a story without no pen, no pencil, nothing out of it, and created a world out of itself without no force pushing it. I would say at that point, there obviously no God, because that is like the most random thing that could possibly ever happen. At that point, I would say, obviously there is more evidence toward naturalism rather than theism. But since you were the one who wrote the book, you personally created the book.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the book. So you're confused.
Remember,
When I brought up the book, it wasn't because I was like saying that books are complex or anything. It has nothing to do with books. I was just proposing a possible world. And one way to make that simple for people like you who like things simple is to just talk about like the book.
I also brought
so all I'm asking, right, is that there's some possible world, and that possible world looks a lot like ours, and it's natural, right? Under naturalism, you'd expect to, especially if they exist in a vast universe, creatures to grow and enter the radio era and to look for life on other planets and maybe miss out because the universe is so vast. But under theism, you wouldn't expect the world to be vast and empty necessarily.
Vast and empty. It depends on what you mean by vast and empty. Since God created the world, He created in a certain kind of order that He wanted. So there are obviously
that's begging the question.
No, okay. What was your question again?
No, that's begging the question.
Yes. I mean, can I ask what you mean?
I mean, your premise here, right, was that God created the universe. Your conclusions, I guess, for this whole debate, right, is that God exists. You're assuming God in your premises to your ultimate conclusion. That you're smuggling in your conclusion in your premises.
Yes,
That's
but
question
remember,
begging.
you are doing the same thing. You are smuggling your own idea. What I'm
False.
trying to say, no, you're trying to say that, well,
Show me where.
you for example, you tell me that it is more rational for us to think that we are living in a
That's a
naturalistic
conclusion, not a premise.
world. So I'm sorry, what do you mean? That's a conclusion, not a premise?
It's begging the question when you smuggle the conclusion in to your premises.
Dude, I'm sorry. Can you
I asked you for an example of where I begged the question, and you told me one of my conclusions, but that's not one of my premises. So you didn't show that I begged the question. Alternatively, I showed you where you smuggled in your conclusion in your premises, proving to you that you did beg the question.
To be honest, yes, like once again, the words that you're using, like begging the question and premises and smuggling, is like,
you really don't know what the word smuggling means?
Yeah, I know what smuggling is, but since in the daily argument, nobody says smuggling your argument. That when I see the words at this
Say
point,
smuggling argument. I said smuggling your conclusion into your premises.
smuggling. Yeah, it's even worse. Smuggling your conclusion in a premise. To be honest, I don't know the meaning of.
Do you know what conclusions are?
Conclusions? They mean.
Look at what Stargate Monkey just wrote in general chat. P1, person take 10 minutes to get from A to B. P2, he ran, he could have been there in 2 minutes. P2, I don't know why he asked P2 again. There's two P1s. Oh, there's an antecedent. But regardless, look, those P and numbers, those are premises, right? And then the one at the end, the C, is a conclusion, right? And a but a syllogistic argument, you have a list of premises that lead to a conclusion.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. I mean, please, for the love of God and Jesus Christ, the language that you people use in here, I would beg of you to be better.
Aref, did you just interrupt my explanation to complain about me explaining this to you?
Yeah, well, I don't understand what you
That's fucking weak.
Yeah, well, in your opinion, dude, if I have to, let me say it this way. If I have to talk about, let's just say, the Holy Quran, for example, let's just say the Holy Quran of the Muslims. That's if I want to talk, and you don't understand anything about what I'm saying, would I at that point tell you that that's fucking weak? How can you not know one of the most influential books in the history of mankind? You should have learned that before coming to this
I said no such thing, and I offered to explain it to you. Fuck you for misrepresenting.
Yes, well, thank you. Explain it to me. If it's not,
Yeah, I was. You interrupted to complain that you didn't like the way I was explaining it to you. You're being a dick, Aref.
That was not to complain. I was asking you to explain it better.
I was in the middle of an explanation, Aref. I just asked you to look in general chat, right? In general chat, there's many examples of what I'm talking about. You'll see lists.
Yes, I'm
right?
sorry.
Like Tasteless Opinion has one. I think it's a bad one, but Tasteless Opinion has one, right? It says Seth is saying P1 and it has a proposition. It has P2, then there's a proposition. Then it has a conclusion, C. Therefore, either God is nominated, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. But that's what I'm talking about. What you're doing is you're taking C or something contained in C and you're putting it in one of the P's. Is that clear enough?
I'm going to explain it. I'm going to explain my position on so far. The good part of the argument that actually we were actually making sense to each other. I'm gonna, explain it again. You said to me that you think that it is more rational for this universe to be, for our planet to be a naturalistic kind of way. I said it is more probable for my argument to be true that there was an intelligent being actually creating a universe based on the fact that our planet is extremely unique. And I explained my position to you. But apparently, you don't want to go debunk my explanation. You want to explain what you just explained before. I told you that, tell me, how is it that our planet is extremely unique, yet it is not in the favor of theism, rather it is more in the favor of naturalism. That's what I want you to explain to
I
me.
don't know why unique planets would be true under theism and not true under naturalism. If you can tell me why that is, then I'll debunk it.
I told you, you see, I told you they are both true. But I said, in my theory, theism, they are more probable unique planets. I did
Right.
not
Explain why.
I'm not explain what, as I said, a unique planet. It is a unique planet. It is a planet.
Unique planets are unique planets. Why is that more likely under theism than natural?
Exactly. I want to explain to you because unique planets that have, for example, let's just say the concept of a chance. When you look at a trillion planets in a Milky Way galaxy, you would say that there definitely had to be at least tens of different thousands of planets.
Have we studied a trillion planets?
So far, I've heard that, like this is what the scientists, that first of all,
The answer is
yes,
no.
Yeah, this is Aref. I'm gonna, man. If you think that we have like a record of 1,000 different planets and whether or not they contain life and whether or not they're Earth-like, you're very mistaken. We don't even know of we don't know of, I think, over a couple hundred extra solar.
We're aware of a few thousand, Seth. That's
okay. So I know it's been growing in leaps and bounds. So I was a little.
But it's inferred that all stars have planets.
We don't know almost anything about them except for whether or not they're rocky or if they might have some water composition or whether or not they're near their host star or far away. That's basically what we know about them. So to say that we know that Earth is unique in that regard, we don't.
Well, so far the closest planets that they have found was, the astronomers found so far was a planet called Kepler, which did not, as a matter of fact, intelligent life on it. They said that
you don't know that.
That's impossible to know, Aref. You're referring to Kepler 251b, which is an Earth-like planet, right? But it's far away. Sorry, yeah,
I know. I know. I appreciate the help, but let's keep it. So yeah. So I mean, Brandon knows more about it than I do, but I know about what Brandon's talking about. That scientists do not have any knowledge of whether or not any of the Earth-like planets that we found contain life or not. And by the way, we have found a lot of Earth-like planets that likely have water and are somewhat similar to the size of Earth and are within the Goldilocks zone of their host star.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
It's not very unique.
But what I said is that how many of them have life evolved just as we did?
You don't know.
Based on the evidence of the astronomers so far, we are extremely
citation
unique.
Needed.
And there is no other planet so far.
Citation needed.
Citation you can search up on the internet.
No, you have the burden. Citation.
Your mic's going bad, Seth.
At this point it doesn't need a citation. So far, all that astronomers said that they have not found a planet that has the same group of species, the same group of plants.
Right. So you can't say that Earth is unique if they don't know if any of these planets contain life at all. All you're doing is appealing to a mystery.
So far, based on the billion planets that they found around us.
No.
Let's just slow down on solar system, okay? I will willing to go on solar system, for example.
No, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't expect there to be multiple intelligent lives in one solar system. I would expect one or two planets within a Goldilocks zone, not many more than that. So I'm sorry, I'm just not going to take that. If we're going to talk about Earth being unique, we're going to have to talk about extrasolar planets. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but as I said, my argument is much more probable because suddenly everything happened in a certain order in a very small amount of, in only our planet. Everything hit a certain kind of jackpot. The trees, the species, the animals, the atmosphere, the liquid water, the ocean, somehow everything got its hands to each other to create a habitable environment for us to be who we are. There is no other example in
Well, I
any
mean, evolution explains why we fit our planet.
well, then again, I have no problem with evolution, but then again, if evolution was supposed to happen on each and every planet, your argument would have been
Well,
much
it's
more
supposed
probable.
to.
Yeah,
No one's saying it's supposed to do anything, right? Evolution's a blind natural process. It's not supposed to happen anywhere. It just happens. And evolution isn't the abiogenesis either. And if you want me to explain that, I can. It means the beginning of life from non-life. Look,
yes,
evolution doesn't explain that. So the idea that, even if we were the only life on Earth, that wouldn't be very strong evidence for God.
I never said that we are the only life on Earth.
I know, and I'm saying, I'm granting you that. I'm just saying, even if that were true, that wouldn't lead to the conclusion you're getting to. I asked you many, many times, and you still haven't given me a straight answer about, why would you expect unique planets under theism and not under naturalism? And you haven't given me an answer. Ergo, not evidence for theism.
Yeah, I gave you my answer. I told you that based on the situation, my answer is much more probable. My theory is much more probable than your theory. And I explained to you, I told you, if, for example, in our solar system that has more than thousands of rogue planets, dwarf planets, it has several gas giants, ice giants. In our planet, so many asteroids, over and over again. If in our planet, let's just say life life evolved on several one of these planets, like in Mars as well, in Jupiter as well. Let's just say life happened in every one of these planets. The evolution happened on a certain basis to create a group of creatures. I don't say humans, but any sort of species to evolve. I would say, yeah, at that point, since life happens everywhere, life on planet.
Actually, if humans evolved as we are on another planet, on a totally other evolutionary tree, that would be that would actually be pretty solid proof for God. That's not what we would expect under naturalism. That's not at all what you just explained is not what we'd expect to see under naturalism.
Exactly, that's exactly
Well,
what I
no,
said.
you just said that would be evidence for naturalism. I'm explaining why it would not be. You seem to have everything backwards, right? You thought fine tuning, for example, was evidence for theism, and I explained very conclusively why it's at least light evidence for atheism. And then you said no, but the Earth is fine tuned for the life on it. It'd be really, really unlikely for life to fit Earth just the way it does. But I at least tried to explain to you that no, evolution makes life fit to Earth, not the other way around. And I'm sorry you're just not getting this, but I've asked you many, many times, and I've not given a straight answer why you think that unique planets are more likely under theism. And instead of giving me an answer, you just explain that life is unique on Earth. Like, that's not an explanation on why you'd expect to see unique planets on theism and not see unique planets on naturalism. Furthermore, I'm still waiting to get to my hiddenness argument because I'm really tired talking about fine tuning and actually wiping the floor.
Yes, well, I gave you my answer several times, but apparently that's not the logical answer that you want so far, because I don't know where your mind is headed.
It's not a rational answer whatsoever.
But no, it's I told you what is my answer. I will repeat it for the 10 times that I said. In my circumstances, life, this is the exact answer. Life theism is much more probable under our circumstances with this unique planet than atheism, not believing in God is. For example, I will explain it in a hypothesis. I hope you will bear with me. Let's just say, as I told you,
I kind of want to get to hiddenness if you don't mind.
But, okay, hold on. Let me give you a hypothesis. For example, I mentioned certain group of creatures evolving on Jupiter. And I said, yes, you see, God does not exist. If a certain group of different creatures evolved on Jupiter, and then we interacted, and they told us that they have a complete set of different beliefs. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in any form of prophet or anything, any unique overall being. They just had their own mythologies. That's what so many people say about religion. They say it's mythology. If they had a completely different perspective, those creatures on Jupiter, at that point, I would have perfectly accepted this fact that yes, all we created was a myths for each other, and none of them are really true. Because just as life happened under certain circumstances on planet Earth, life also happened on Jupiter. Life also happened on Mars. They all believe in different things that we do. We believe in God. Like on Mars, they believe in 3 gods. We only believe in 1 God. So that means that those
people believe in 3 gods on this planet.
Yeah, for example, we believe in Judgment Day. Almost all religions believe in a Judgment Day. They don't believe in a Judgment Day. Or perhaps they're even atheists. The creatures on Jupiter, they are actually atheist people. They are a certain group of evolved creatures.
This is an entirely new argument altogether.
Yes, well, it does make amazing sense.
Look,
and
I know, no, Aref, it doesn't. Aref, I'm sorry, but all I'm hearing. Hold on, JJ. All I'm hearing, and all the room is hearing, frankly, is that when I gave you a rational argument, I gave you why one hypothesis is more likely than the other, and when you told me that you think the other is hold on, and when you said the other is more likely, I asked you to explain it, and what you said was over and over again. This is really telling, is that I think it would be this. Well, that's not an argument. I think this other stuff would be better evidence. Isn't a rational argument. It's just not.
No, I didn't use.
You need to explain. You either need to explain to me why one is more likely under your hypothesis than naturalism.
I told you. I explained.
No, you didn't. You just said a second ago that you just think it would be more likely because this is what you're looking for. That's just not an argument. It's just not. And I want to get to hiddenness.
Obviously that's a different hypothesis that I made, but my hypothesis.
Yeah, that's it right there. You just make a different hypothesis, and that means that that's the evidence. Hold on. You can't just say this is what you're looking for and say that's evidence, and that's what you're doing.
But remember what I said before that. I said my evidence is that this planet is extremely unique. How are you going to debunk that our planet in our solar system being unique is not in favor of theism?
You need to explain why it's more likely under theism, and you haven't done. Period.
I told you.
No, you didn't. Sorry.
Never happened anywhere, dude.
When I asked you to explain why one is more likely under theism, you just said it would be more likely under theism and explained what evidence you're looking for. That's not an argument. It's not. And I want to get to hiddenness.
Yes. Like I told you, the species on this planet, the atmosphere that it is, the oceans that
again, that's not explaining why it is evidence. Those things you're looking for. No, it's not. You need to explain why it's evidence. You need to explain why it's evidence. I explained why mine is evidence. Aref. I explained. Hold on, Aref. I explained why one of my why fine-tuning, right, would be more likely under naturalism, that you'd expect to see it under naturalism and you wouldn't expect to see it under theism, and you agreed with me. You'd agreed with me that you wouldn't expect to see that under theism and you would expect to see it under naturalism. And that's why we're looking for that kind of evidence. When I asked you why, say, unique planets, for example, are evidence for theism and not evidence for naturalism, you just continue to say, look, it's very, very unique. And that's the kind of evidence I'm looking for. That's not an argument.
No, I told you it is more probable. I told you that I accept.
You want to prove. You want to explain why it's more probable under theism. Do that. Just saying it is more probable isn't an argument.
No, it is an argument because okay, dude, let's
explain why it's more probable under theism.
Yes. I will give you an example. For example, why do we believe in evolution?
I don't want an example. I want you to tell me why it's more likely under theism, please, without example.
Yeah, as I told you about the evidence, dude. Do you know how a court system works? The judge
yes, I do.
The judge does not see the crime scene. There is no camera in a crime scene. The witness and the witness and the lawyers present the evidence to the judge, and the judge accept which one is more.
But the lawyers don't get to say what is evidence and what isn't evidence, right? The court understands what is evidence. They understand why a video of somebody being at a different place at a different time or at the same time the murder was taking place is evidence against it. The lawyer doesn't get to just go in there and say, yeah, but I think that's not good evidence because I think that blah, 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 and just make something up and say, I think that's better evidence. They have to explain why one is evidence and the other is not. Can you do that for your unique planet hypothesis? You have not explained at all why unique planets are more likely under theism and not likely under naturalism. I would like you to explain why it's evidence.
I explained to you, you do not want to accept my explanation. And for the court system, I told you, you see, both sides present their evidence, present their cases. The judge has to see which one is more probable that actually happened, which one of these evidence is more rational and logical that happened. And then the judge accept that. So in the end, there is no such thing as no evidence. Both sides have evidence, have claims. The job of the judge has to
That's false centrism.
True, and that is perfect, court system. I don't know whether you actually.
I'm sorry, you don't get to just say that something is evidence, and I have to accept that that's evidence for you. Well, it's just that's not good evidence. It's just not.
To the sides, each of them, they don't want to accept each other as evidence. But then again, both sides present.
What is evidence, Aref? Let's I want to get to hiddenness, but before I really, this is just so fucking fundamental. What's evidence?
Yes, evidence is basically a series of kind of provable, something that makes a lot of sense. That's evidence.
False.
Okay, you go ahead and explain.
Yeah,
this isn't a case where somebody thinks that anything is evidence.
Yeah,
that's presented.
So, Aref, evidence is something is a proposition or fact that makes one hypothesis or idea or conclusion more likely than another.
As who said, somebody said the sentence that actually made a lot of sense. Yes, dude.
Yeah,
you see,
JJ, he doesn't do that very often. Take note.
Wait, Aref, are you saying that anything is evidence? Anything that you present is evidence?
Every single thing in this world can be presented as evidence to a different thing. Whether it would be more probable and more rational, that's a different story. But anything can be presented as an evidence and an argument. That's what I'm saying. You have your argument, I have my argument. We both bring our arguments to a judge. And let's just...
Aref, yes. What have you presented that makes it more probable that theism is true?
Yes, as I said, the person who has more, their argument is more rational, their evidence is more rational, the judge will accept that argument as a better evidence and would be like, you make more sense than this.
Do you think it's just up to the judge?
It is only and only up to the judge. And remember, every single one have their own mind, the judge. I can talk to you for 1,000 years. But if you don't truly go to your rational self in your mind and accept, let's really look up into this. He makes sense. Everybody can be biased, obviously. Everybody can be biased. And it is a matter of time. for example, and it is also a matter of ego, a matter of pride. It cannot be a matter of so much of
this is such bullshit.
Well, once again, that's your argument. You see, that's your argument.
That's not my argument. I just wanted to say it.
Yeah, well, that's the opinion that you have. I have my.
That's an opinion. Yes.
We present our opinions. We let the mind judge of the people, of different people.
Yeah, I get it. You want to judge, got it, but you're not. I mean, you're really not saying anything at all, Aref. I want to get to hiddenness.
I'm saying a lot of things, and Seth, like I'm presenting my opinion, my arguments. If they does not sound very good to you, you don't necessarily have to attack me or tell me that it's bullshit. You can just very
Aref,
simply
it's
say
not.
to me
It's bullshit because you just don't understand the nature of evidence. You fundamentally can't have a debate because you don't understand the nature of evidence, and that's frustrating.
Yes,
it's really frustrating.
Once again, that's your opinion, and you are frustrated.
Oh, Aref, stop telling me it's my opinion. Everyone knows that's my opinion. You don't have to highlight it. We get it.
Well, yes, so you don't have to necessarily be frustrated. In the end, all that's going to happen.
Yeah, I do, Aref. Yeah. What if I came out and I said, look, I'm not wearing shoes, and I think that's evidence that atheism is true. Like, would you think that's good evidence? Would you just say, oh, is it true you're not wearing shoes? Is that evidence? Well, then I guess God doesn't exist.
Yes. Let me tell you something. If you came up to me and you told me that you're not, you were wearing shoes, and you came to me and said you are not wearing shoes, I will grab your feet and take off your shoes and bring them in front of your eyes and tell you, is this a shoe or not? If you would say something.
What? No, so Aref, I'm currently actually not wearing shoes. Okay, right now I got to my apartment, I took my shoes off. Okay, so you can't take off my shoes and show them to me and show that I was wearing shoes. So you can forget that. What if I said that I'm not wearing shoes, ergo God is dead? Would you accept that as evidence?
If your argument made a whole lot of sense, was very rational.
Does it make sense? I'm not wearing shoes. God doesn't exist. Does that make sense?
Okay. No, dude. If you have to show me like a camera for me to see your feet.
What?
Oh my goodness.
I would be like, well, you don't wear any shoes. But I don't understand where you're actually trying to go with this. You're using a very specific kind of tactic.
I'm just showing everyone that you fundamentally don't understand the nature of evidence.
I do understand, but and I've spoken to so many atheists before. You are in your server trying to smear me in front of your other people and your friends, and obviously they have to agree.
These people aren't my friends. These people are degenerate fucks.
Yeah, well,
here comes the victim complex.
You don't necessarily have to use a certain kind of language in order to demean and degrade a certain person in an actual rational debate. In the end of this debate, you would, if it really frustrates you, you would be like, Aref, thank you for your questions and answers. At this point, I'm not comfortable answering your questions. And we both.
But I am comfortable answering your questions. Your questions are easy.
Yeah, well, if my questions are easy, well, I'm trying to present my point. You don't necessarily have to get frustrated when you don't understand a certain aspects of it. If they are easy,
fuck the meta.
Well, dude, you cannot. We are trying to have a good, rational, academic debate. This is not some sort of street fighting. We are not choosing an action figure to jump on each other and beat the shit out of each other.
This is far from an academic debate also.
Well, yes, that you see, I'm trying to do my best to not use certain kind of words in this.
Right.
argument.
You instead because I don't want to be manhandled in your server and I don't want to participate with you guys, I get called a coward and accused of running away. That's okay. But when I make fun of you for not knowing what parameters means, that's over the line.
No. You see, you said something different right now. You came out of our server. I did not kick you out of our server. You have a grudge against Victor, and that's not my fault that you have a grudge against. And I told you,
Aref, you're fucking stupid. I'm not saying you're a bad person because of that. What I'm saying is you're getting all butthurt about the meta, right? About the fact that I'm using cuss words or that I'm colorful, right? But you're a hypocrite, right? When I said I didn't want to participate with you because you're associated with the server that blocked me and muted me, you accused me of running like a coward.
No. I can bring all the chats in this server. First, I asked you, would you do a debate with me? Then you said, I don't want to deal with you. And those are all evidence in the chats that first I asked you, would you do it? That's how the conversation actually started. Would you please have a debate with me or Victor?
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm saying no. That's all true, Aref. Yes, you want to debate. I said yes. Then when I got kicked out of that server that you invited me to, I said, I don't really want to participate. Hold on, I don't really want to participate with you or anyone else from that server. So I'm gonna buck out, right? I'm gonna duck out. No. And you said I was running.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
No.
Yes, that is what happened.
I can present you the chats. First of all, you went out of the server and you said it yourself. You were not kicked. You were muted.
No, Aref, no one's saying that I was kicked. I don't care that I was kicked. I'm not complaining that I left the server. What I'm complaining about is when I didn't like the way I was treated, right, by being muted. I was muted. That's a fact. I said I don't want to participate with you or the server, which is fine. Okay, I'm not accusing. I'm not calling you an asshole. I just said, look, I don't want to do it. Like, I don't like you guys. Okay, and your response wasn't, I understand. Have a nice day. As you're saying I should do to you, your response was to claim that I was running.
Dude, I'm going to put the actual text chat in here so you can actually, maybe you forgot. I give you the benefit of the doubt. I will put the text chat in here so everybody can see. So you understand that it's I actually what you're saying is not maybe you are mistaken. You see, great. Name your time. Only 1 hour debate. That's not sufficient. And then I like to debate Victor. This is what you said. He muted me for no reason. I said all staff powers have to mute. So I'm not sure if it was Victor, but when you told me I like to debate Victor. This is what you said.
Yeah, and then I changed my mind. I said, honestly, I don't want to participate with the server anymore. The mods are a bunch of sycophants. Then you said another atheist running away. You didn't say, oh, look, we could go our separate ways and la-di-da, like you just said I should do. You accused me of running away.
Well, yes, after you specifically told me that you like to debate Victor, and you said he muted you for no reason, I said, well, great, let's have a debate. Then
I'm not going to talk about this anymore. I think I've made my point.
Obviously, I brought I brought the.
So divine hiddenness is an argument for atheism, right? It suggests that theism assumes that if a God exists, he would want everyone to would like everyone, or at least as many people as possible, to know and enjoy her, right? The problem is God isn't obviously existent. There's a proposition X that God wants everyone to know, and I don't know it, and other atheists don't know it. The best explanation for that is that God doesn't exist.
Well, as I said, that's your perspective of the argument. And I said, to a much more rational, logical person, my argument, my evidence would be stronger in that case. That was all the thing. And, the 1 hour is past so far. You told a lot of things. I've got them on recording. If you don't like, I will not show this record to anyone. But if you want to listen to your own argument and realize what you actually said in your own argument, And what I said to try to, let's just say I'm going to listen to this 10 more times, to this to argument that you made. I'm going to listen to it 10 more times. And I hope, if your ego, your pride actually lets you listen to it one more time rather than, accusing me of being stupid or whatever. You people in your server basically are typing on a text chat anything that you wanted to type me. If you just listen to my argument and in your head, and just hold on, let me finish.
Just
I want to
stop.
get out of here. I want to go get out of here. To leave you
He
guys.
says the hour is over. It's not a one-on-one anymore. Everyone can jump in.
You're embarrassing yourself.
I want to go. I want to thank you, people, for this argument.
Aref, can you add me to friends? I want to chat to you. I'm a Christian as well, but I just want to chat to you.
Yeah. Anybody wants to be friend with me, I'm open. Anybody wants to have another debate with me, if you don't want to accuse me of being stupid, and I would appreciate, just as said.
Did I call Aref stupid? Anybody?
Several.
Yes. Yes, you did.
Yes.
When?
Several time in the debate. I can show it to
Hold
you
on.
later.
Who said yes? When did I call him stupid?
Yes,
when
you
did I
call him stupid once.
When did I call him stupid?
You said, Aref, you're so fucking stupid, and then you continued to say something else.
Yeah, well, apparently you don't even have a good memory, Seth. But
I don't have a good memory. Thank you for
Aref, where are you from, dude?
Well, I have to leave here. This is not, my
So you can't say where you're from? Okay.
Become. Hold on, I'm gonna send you.
Run away.
I'm gonna
run away, Aref.
Yeah, I'm gonna
JJ, did I call him stupid?
Yeah,
you may have.
Yeah.
I don't recall. You were pretty
it's
polite.
Possible. I just don't remember it.
Yeah.
Pretty polite for most of this. But I think RF is extremely stupid, but he should run away now.
Yes, thank you very much for your kind argument.
I thought you were leaving.
Yes, I don't. The 1 hour is over. The 1 hour is over. If you
come on back if you ever want to try again, Aref. I don't look, Aref. I'm not. Hold on. I just want to say this real quick. Look, Aref, I don't like you, right? I didn't like you from the moment you said that. Accused me of running away when I didn't want to participate in a debate because I thought that the server you're in is dishonest. All right, I didn't like you from that point, and I'm not going to like you since then, really. But if you want to come back, I'll debate you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, thank you for the kind words, and aside,
I don't like you.
Yeah, thank you, JJ. You have been very kind.
But I don't like you because you keep saying that you presented an argument, but I don't think you actually presented an argument at all.
Yeah, well, I did my best. I apologize for not being as good to you. I'm sorry. I'm not perfect.
Effort counts for something.
Yeah. Well, yes, I apologize for not being perfect to you. I can never be perfect to anybody.
Why are you look, you're just trying to you're playing the victim now. I don't understand.
Jesus Christ, oh my Lord.
Nobody look. Nobody in here is going to feel bad for you because you were exposed as not being knowledgeable on the topic, right? It's fine.
No, dude. Yes.
1 second. Yes. Just a second, right? It's fine to not know things, but you are trying to frame this as a situation where we just ganged up on you and tried to make you look stupid. The reality is that you made yourself look stupid by engaging in a debate when you didn't even have an argument.
I did have an argument. I presented my argument. My argument was not very sound to you. Just because it was not very...
Did anyone else hear an argument?
Looked at, no, remember.
No, I only heard claim.
Just because you people did not saw my argument as being rational, that doesn't mean that I did not present a rational argument for you.
Well, hold on, Aref.
Dude, I'm in an atheist echo chamber. I have to answer 10,000.
Dude, just
okay, I'm a punching bag at this point.
Hold on, rationality, right? It's not like my favorite flavor of ice cream or my favorite category of pornography, right? It's not subject to what I feel like it's the case. It's either it was rational or it wasn't, right?
Yes, but as I told you, different people have different levels of wisdom and understanding and a certain kind of bias. in their head. So just because I did not make a lot of sense to a certain person on this in this server, and you have a certain bias in your mind, you cannot possibly say just because you did not make sense to a whole lot of us, that means your argument doesn't make sense. Which I can say the same thing for you. If you come to an Christian server and talk to them, you don't make much sense to those people, and everybody has their difference of opinion. In the end, all I can say is that, well, you know, if my argument was not rational enough for you guys, I did not make enough sense to you guys. So then, well, I'm at this point, you know, it's not like I can do anything better. If you want to debate, if anybody else want to debate me, I would be very happy. If, you know, Seth wants to debate me again, anybody else wants to debate me, I'm not trying to play the victim in here to change the concept of argument. No, what I'm trying to say is at this point, I just presented my best. It was an intellectual boxing match. I presented the best that I could. So if it was
Aref.
good enough, then it was good enough. If it was
Aref,
not,
I had a lot of Aref, I had a lot of fun.
Yes.
I want to give you hold on. I want to give you the traditional greeting for the room. All right, after a debate, wipe the cum off your.
Yeah, well, but I would say
Aref, sorry, before you carry on, Aref, sorry, mate, I just want to ask you something quickly.
Hold on. These kind of tactics are only used by useless general lowlifes that they lose in their life, and I have nothing to.
Well, what's the argument for that?
Before you say that,
go fuck yourself, all of you together.
So much for the high road.